I see lots of familiar faces. Hi, Leslie.
How you doing,
Hi,
Russ?
Shirley. Hi, Terry and Kathy,
Hey,
Mary
good morning.
Jo,
Good morning.
and Susan. There's so many, I'm not going to be able to say everyone's name. Glad to have you all here. We're going to wait 1 or 2 more minutes to give more folks a chance to join. If you're here to hear Linda Harris, you're at the right place. We're just giving folks about a minute to join in. Well, I want to welcome everyone to Get Set Up special event, Finding Your Inner Harriet with Linda Harris. My name's Russ Eanes. I'm a guide at Get Set Up, and I'm going to be your host today. Get Set Up's a community of active older adults who are looking to stay connected and inspired, and we're thrilled to have Linda with us today to discuss her journey walking in Harriet Tubman's shoes. Before we get started, I just want to take care of a few housekeeping items. For those tuning in live through our Get Set Up Zoom class, please remember to mute yourself during the session, but do keep your cameras on if you're comfortable so we can enjoy connecting with each other and we can capture some images to share in the future. If you have a clarifying question while Linda's speaking, please let us know in the chat. So just put your question in the chat and we'll do our best to make sure we get those questions to Linda. For those of us who are joining via our community live stream on Get Set Up TV, Facebook, or YouTube, you're welcome to enter questions into the comments, and we'll do our best to address everyone's questions. We'll let Linda go for a while because I've got a lot of questions for myself to start off with, and then there will definitely be a Q&A for all of you a little later on. Well, let me introduce Linda D. Harris. She's a retired real estate professional. She's an entrepreneur, and her plan was to pursue a career as a singer-songwriter. Actually, she had begun that career. In the span of 2 years, she wrote and recorded 12 songs and has performed in Paris, Gothenburg, Panama, New Orleans, New York, Palm Beach, and many venues in the DMV, that's the Delmarva Peninsula area. The social unrest and pandemic set her journey on a new trajectory, and she was guided by a spiritual light to walk in the steps of Harriet Tubman. Last year, another thing that happened, as happened to all of us, was the pandemic, and that, of course, changed her career path. She had some events in Entebbe and Tokyo and Uganda canceled. The thing we want to talk about a lot today, though, is her 156-mile journey from Cambridge, Maryland to Philadelphia along the Underground Railroad route, and what she learned changed her life forever. Let's get our next slide up here. So we're going to talk today a bit about walking in a purposeful and conscious way, which is the walking that has the most magical benefits. We're going to talk about how to connect with a higher spiritual place, a source of unlimited possibilities, where Linda says, no limits other than when patience is required. And we're going to find freedom, release, everlasting, everyone daring, obliging, marching on. I love that acronym for freedom. So let's welcome Linda Harris. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Russ. How are you?
Very good.
Good.
Linda,
good.
you are now living in somewhere between Cambridge, Maryland, and maybe Mitchellville, Maryland?
And Mitchellville, that's right. I go between the two. It's about
Okay.
an hour and a half drive between the two.
Okay, on a good day.
On a good day. That's right.
Yes,
No traffic
yes.
across the Bay Bridge. That's right.
Right. I sat for an hour and a half in that traffic last Friday, so I know this.
Yes.
That can be a long hour and a half.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the start of the singing career and how you went from real estate to singing. I'm fascinated with that, partly
Sure.
because it Gets Set Up. We've got older adults who are thinking of having an encore career or maybe one of several encore careers. And not a lot of us thought of being a singer at that point.
Sure, sure. Well, my dad was an amazing human being, and he was a musician. He played the guitar and self-taught. And there's 6 of us in my family, and he always wanted one of us to be a performer. Of course, I wasn't having that because I wanted to be able to eat, right? Performers, I didn't want to be a starving artist. And so I just, I went into real estate, which ended up being very good for me. But then as I got older, I reconnected with my dad. He died in 2010, but I could always hear his voice in my head. You could do this, you could do this. And so I decided to do it. I started taking piano lessons and got pretty good with it, only because I practiced. I could sit at a piano for about 5 hours each day, and I really learned to play it well. Then I decided I wanted to sing, so I took various jazz workshops between the DC area and New York, and that got me started. I got a lot of encouragement from people, so I embarked upon this career. And I think most of the time people ask me to sing, maybe they were just trying to help an old chick, I don't know. But I had wonderful opportunities to sing all over the world, and it was great. It was great. Great thing to transition to.
Wow. So let me get this right. You started playing the piano in 2010.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I didn't start. No, 2015. My dad.
Oh my gosh, that's even better.
My dad died in 2010, but I started in 2015 taking piano lessons. Yeah.
That's great. And I also like the fact that you had 5 hours a day to practice, which our kids don't have or don't want to take.
Or don't want to take.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
So your career was taken off. The second career was sort of taken off, and you had
Sure.
You'd been to Switzerland and all these places.
Yes. Yeah, it was going really good. I in New York, I met a woman from Tokyo who we really bonded a good friendship, and she had a club there, so she invited me to sing. I was going to go there for 5 weeks. Then I applied for a grant to go to Uganda to work in a music school. So that was going to be another 5 weeks. So it was going to be 2020 was going to be amazing for me, coupled with the fact that I had written a bunch of songs that people were liking, and I posted them up on YouTube. So I was very excited about this new career path. And then it all got taken away because of the pandemic, the poorly managed pandemic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about how you switched gears or adapted, and where the idea for this walk came in.
This walk came from. Well, again, I have to think about my dad. As I said, I had extraordinary parents, first of all, but I think what got me, I got very depressed during the pandemic, as I'm sure all of us did. And we couldn't go out, we couldn't see our families. That was really very hard for me, coupled with, so first of all, my plans to go overseas were destroyed. So that really got me depressed. Coupled with the pandemic and then the social unrest. And I think what really hit home for me that my freedoms were taken away was watching the killing of George Floyd. That really hit home. And I think for many of us, because we were confined in our homes, and so we were sort of glued to our television sets, but that really got me. And I remember sitting in my room one night, just weeping, not just for him, but for all the things that had been happening. There was just so many things. And I remembered that on my bookcase, there was a book, and I have it, that my dad gave me when I was 10 years old. I keep it in plastic. I just took the plastic off. Called Runaway Slave, and it's about Harriet Tubman. It's a picture book. It was written in 1965, and he gave it to me for my birthday. So for whatever reasons, it could have been my imagination, I'm not sure, but it was kind of glowing. It was beckoning me. So I went over and I read it again. And I thought about Harriet Tubman. I said, my God, her freedoms were taken away. And what did she do? She walked. So I just started walking. I was I would go to the gym. I had a gym membership, and I'd go to my Zumba classes and step classes on a regular basis. And that had been shut down too. So I started getting up every day, and I'd walk. I walked 2 miles, the next day, or the next couple of days, 3 miles. It went to 4 miles, 5 miles. All of a sudden, I was walking 10 miles a day. And it was because I was communing with nature, and that's a whole nother topic, but my mind was free. I felt good. My weight was going down. I mean, my skin was glowing. It was just an amazing feeling that I got from walking. And after I started walking 10 miles and up to 12 miles, I revisited the book, and I remembered that she was born in Dorchester County, which is about an hour and a half from me, just across that Bay Bridge that can be good or bad on depending on what day of the week it is. Oh, by the way, Bay Bridge, you could just sail across it because nobody was moving around. So I remember on a Friday morning after watching a Thursday night, all night basically watching this coverage of George Floyd, I drove to Cambridge, and I met with, well, when I got there, of course, everything was shut down, but there was a woman at the visitor center who was kind enough to come out and talk with me. I told her, I said, I drove all this way and I just want to know more about Harriet Tubman. So she spent a couple of hours talking with me. We sat out at a bench outside of the visitor center door. And then she gave me a list of historians right there in Cambridge who she said I should consult with. So I decided to spend the night. I'm very impulsive. As I've gotten old, I've just, I have no limit. I just do whatever I want. So I called one of the historians, and he said, well, you can't talk to me. We're in the middle of a pandemic and I can't see you. And I said, we can keep our distance and I'll wear a mask. And so he says, well, I can see you tomorrow morning, maybe. So I decided to spend the night. Anyway, that morning came, and I did see him. And one of the most wonderful things that happened, he met with me inside of the Harriet Tubman Museum. And I was like a kid in a candy store. He talked with me for about 2 hours. He showed me maps and books and artifacts all about Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. So I was just so excited. And from there, I got a list of other historians, and I drove from Mitchellville I went to Delaware to talk with folks. I went to Philadelphia. All of these people helped me map the route. So I said, you know what? I'm going to walk the Underground Railroad because I need to restore my freedom. I need to feel what she felt. Of course, situations are far different, but for me, I felt trapped and I needed to get out. So I initially wanted to walk by myself, and I thought that wasn't going to be too smart. So I put out a post on Facebook, and I just said, hey, I want to walk the Underground Railroad. Is anyone interested? Well, about 20 women responded, and it wasn't, I didn't care if it was, men or women. I just wanted to be able to walk with others. And so 20 women responded. So I said, well, this is what we got to do. I said, you're going to have to walk at least 3 miles every day. And then on the weekends, we've got to get together and train. So initially, the group of 20, they were very enthusiastic, but as time went on, it sort of dwindled, and we got down to 7 committed women. And they would walk, and we would communicate. We set up a WhatsApp line, and we set up a Facebook page, and we would walk. I would walk every day, and then on the weekends, we would find these amazing parks in the area to walk. And we formed such a kinship, such a sisterhood. It was unbelievable. So we did that. We started our training in June, or late May, early June. And we walked, as I said, and then we embarked upon our journey on September 6th, 2020. So, yeah.
Well, this is a great story. There's so much here I could remark about, and I'll ask more. But let me stop here and show a video, a 3-minute that talks about that walk, because this is kind of what we're getting at. And no, you gave great background. That's what I wanted.
Okay.
And now I want everyone to see what the walk was. So I'm going to show you the walk.
Okay.
Everyone the walk.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what Linda is talking about.
The women of We Walk with Harriet are finally sitting, and they're still laughing.
I
Linda Harris, Pauline Dunn, and Jennifer Bailey are 3 of the 8 ladies who walked 116 miles to retrace the Underground Railroad Harriet Tubman took to freedom more than 170 years ago.
This is the old Broadus plantation.
Broadus Farm is where Tubman escaped from slavery and returned several times to lead others to freedom. And this is where 8 spirited women began their 6-day journey from Cambridge, Maryland to Kenneth Square in Pennsylvania.
It was COVID, it was the racial unrest, it was the police shootings. I was at an all-time low.
Linda Harris, known as the Chief Dreamer, believes she had divine intervention after finding an old book about Tubman.
She was talking to me and she was telling me that you've got to free your mind of this thing. And you got to walk. You have to walk in my steps. And there is where you will find the answers.
So she put out a message on a Facebook page and met other women walking through the pandemic. They trained and then mapped out their idea with local historians.
Every lock house, every church, every location.
There was dancing in the streets as they went through Cambridge, Hurlock, Denton, Elkton, into Delaware.
This is the Delaware Canal. And it's so beautiful.
They had to walk on main roads next to traffic. Tubman's journey took her through what's now private property.
We had cell phones and GPS and mapping, and we had a logistics team, and people, we could call our logistics team if we needed to, give us water or give us a break. So I'm thinking, this woman all by herself the first time, right? Now I know that she was 18.
And just like Tubman brought others with her, the women shared many stories on their Facebook page and with Bay Bulletin about the people they inspired.
The fact that so many people of different colors, different races, different ages connected with us, I think was a little bit of that.
Buttery apples and nutmeg.
This woman who fed them dinner after day 1.
We walk with Harriet. I'm gonna let it shine.
It made Harris, a jazz artist, break into song on day 2.
I'm gonna
A truck driver wanted to give them money to buy ice cream.
And I know that we created awareness, we created inspiration, and I have no idea what the impact ultimately will be from this, but I do know that women have a huge role to play in the civil rights movement.
And about 300 people gathered in Kenneth Square to celebrate stepping into freedom.
We formed a real sisterhood.
They raised money for the Harriet Tubman Museum and Educational Center and other charities. They plan to walk again, and Harris is settling on property in Cambridge at the end of the month to create a Camp Harriet, an effort to continue bringing people together.
Marching with Harriet to freedom.
Where singing about freedom will be heard on Maryland's Eastern Shore.
And it's something that I believe that young people should be doing.
For Chesapeake Bay Media's Bay Bulletin, I'm Cheryl Costello.
Wow.
Okay. I think that gives
Memories.
The greatest assets, Trump Tower.
Oops, sorry about that.
1290 Avenue of the Americas. Bank of America building in San Francisco. I will say a lot of the...
Okay. Did you hear that?
Yes.
I was hoping you didn't. Somehow YouTube queued that up next. But it's gone now. There's just so many angles of this I'd love to talk about. But just the fact that you were inspired, and I see kind of 2 things happening. There's a disempowerment. First off, that the pandemic's here, you can't go anywhere and do anything. So you've taken that sort of personal power to do something away. And then the frustration, the disempowering when you see what happens to George Floyd. And what I loved is how you took those 2 things and you flipped it upside down. Say more about that.
Yeah, well, I had to. I mean, I think you have to, I study metaphysics and I've only begun studying it. And, in this life, I'm just going to read a quote, first of all, from Mark Twain. It says, "Nature knows no indecency, man invents them." And so for me, being out in nature and following in the steps of someone who was enslaved, it helped me to become a happier person. And as I said, initially, I felt that my freedoms had been extinguished, and I didn't like that feeling. And I took the word freedom and I made it an acronym. Freedom, to release, everlasting, everyone. You have to be daring and obliging, and you have to march on. And that's simply what I decided to do. I was not going to allow the pandemic, the social unrest, all the ills of the world keep me down. It's not what I wasn't born for that. And none of us were, for that matter. We are here on this earth for a certain purpose. And sometimes it's the scary things that bring out what our true purpose is. And that's what happened for me. So even though I thought that I was going to be a jazz singer, and I still will be, I mean, I'm slowly getting gigs here and there, but I found out that my purpose is far greater. It is to connect with people, it's to help people, and most importantly, commune with nature, because when you do that, all this other stuff around you, it really doesn't matter. You can handle it far better. So I now understand what my calling is, and for me, 2020 actually ended up being not so bad, because I found this person that was always there, that I would never have known about had I not been confined and had to go inside and think about. So that's where I am now.
So you discovered this, you're saying this person, you mean this person within yourself?
Within myself, yes. Everything that we need, according to my studies, and I'm very early in my studies with metaphysics, is inside. But what happens in life, we're born in this structure, we're with all the noise and all the distractions, and we have little time to really reflect and meditate. Meditation is huge. That's a whole nother topic. But when we can meditate and get in touch with ourselves, the most amazing things happen. And for me, my focus in life now is letting people know that you can walk it off. I've come up with all kinds of phrases. Find the Harriet in you, walk it off, and you will become a much more productive person at any age. And for me, I mean, I'm an old chick now, but I am so love being a senior citizen. I feel so free to do whatever I want. And I don't care about what people say or do. I mean, that's their problem. But when you go inside and you are in touch with that inner person, the possibilities are endless.
Wow. There's a lot. You keep saying so many things, Linda, bring up more questions. I also love being a senior citizen.
Yeah.
This is the time of life when opportunities that maybe we have kept not necessarily in secret, but in check, suddenly can come out, and we've got the chance. Yes. I also love the thing about walking, because as I mentioned before, I did a 500-mile walk in 2018. Wow. And I found that being outside walking all day, every day for a month or however long, has a tremendous inner effect on us. There's that quiet meditative aspect of walking, but also just being in nature, letting go of a lot of things. There's a limited number of things you can do when you're walking as well, which is great.
Certainly. You can see farther, you can hear, there's more clarity, and you see the beauty. I mean, I am so connected now with nature that I really don't even need people anymore, which might be a little scary thing. I don't know. But whenever I feel down or saddened, and there's plenty of reasons in this world to feel that way, the moment I go to my favorite park or forest or wherever, everything just lightens up for me. The sadness is absorbed by the beauty of nature, and we all need to embrace it. If we do that, we'll be happier, healthier people. So that's what I've come to learn.
Amen to all that.
Yeah.
And so you started training by walking a few miles a day, and then you were up to how many miles a day before you took the big walk?
Well, we had gotten up to 20 miles. I remember it was like August 1st or something. We decided, okay, we packed our snacks and bottles of water and Gatorade, and we said, we're going to do this because we have to do it. We're going to have to do it, for 6 days. And we got up to 20 miles, and it's not so difficult, because what we did, we'd start about 7, and we would walk until noon. And believe it or not, by noon we had gotten our 10 miles in. eat, stretch, kind of reflect. And then we'd take another 10 miles. And by 4 o'clock, we're done. So, and when you're walking with others who share the same experiences, we hashed out a lot of stuff, a lot of crap, all the stuff that was bothering us, work, husbands, kids, all that stuff. We were able to hash out those things. And by the time we did that, we'd done the 20 miles. So it turned out to be enjoyable. Now, I don't want to mislead you. Walking 20 miles a day is not easy. It's certainly if you do it 6 consecutive days. But when you walk with a purpose, it makes things different. It makes things different and doable, manageable.
That's great. And that's something I tell people that are older, that walking is actually the best exercise. I call it moving at the speed of life. And, but it's one thing anybody can do.
Yes.
And people also shed extra weight they never knew they could get rid of, and they feel better in every way and being outside in nature.
Yes.
Let's go back a bit more to your walk and some of the people you encountered along the way, and you weren't expecting that.
No, not at all. First of all, we walked from, Harriet Tubman was born in Dorchester County on the Eastern Shore. So we walked from Dorchester County through Caroline County, through Delaware, and into Kennett Square. We actually, and then 2 weeks later, we walked from Kennett Square to Philadelphia. So that's where we got the total of 156 miles. But I had toured and walked through and driven through the area before we took the walk. And I was a little concerned because Caroline County is a heavy, and I hate to bring politics in, but it's important because it really affected the way we were thinking. Heavy Republican jurisdiction, and the Trump signs and flags were everywhere. And I said, now we're going to be 8 Black women, walking through this area. What might happen to us? So we did alert local authorities. So I was prepared, as Harriet was. We didn't have guns, but I prepared in my mind to be prepared to encounter unpleasant activities. I really was. So, and we actually walked, so 3 things happened, not so horrible, but I want to mention them. We walked up past a yard that was full of Trump flags, Confederate flags, and I had not seen them like that in masses. It was a big yard and tall trees, and they were everywhere. And I thought, oh my God, we're walking by, what's going to happen to us? Nothing did. But when we got past the yard and we decided we wanted to rest, it was about noon, and we wanted to rest in an open field. We were sitting there eating and talking, just going over our day. And there was a family across the road, because by this time it was very rural, and the guy was cutting his grass. And we could see them looking. I mean, I could feel their eyes peering at us, really, because they just seemed glued to what we were doing. So finally, this guy pulls up in a truck and he said, "You're on my property, and you can't be here." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry." I said, I explained that we were doing this walk and we were just resting to have lunch, and we'll make sure we pick up all of our trash. And I said, "There are no signs posted." I said, "Had I seen a private property or no trespassing, we would not have stopped." He said, "Well, you have to get off because I don't want you here." So I said, "Okay, no problem." So we packed up. But I walked across the street and then I said, "Well, how did you know we were here?" He said, "Well, I just knew it." Well, I just kind of knew that guy cutting his grass, called it a guy. So I walked over to the guy and I said to him, "Why did you call? I mean, we weren't doing anything." And he said, "I didn't call." I said, "Yes, you did." I said, "And we weren't doing anything wrong." And I said, "You know what? You could have been a kind neighbor. You would have gotten a lot more out of being a kind neighbor than what you did." And I said, "We're going to pray for you." And I'm not really a spiritual person, but I felt that I needed to say that. And, he kind of put his head down and he walked away. But I needed to let him know how I was feeling. And I thought that was totally unnecessary. And then the last thing that happened, we had gone up on Route 404, and that route won't mean anything to you, but we were resting. And it's kind of a busy route, and we were resting there. We were stretching. And the police come comes over and he's, he's got his hand on his gun. And I thought to myself, what? As soon as he started walking over his hand on his gun, I said, why do you have your hand on your gun? For God's sakes, we're just sitting here. We're not doing anything. And he said, well, you can't be here. I said, fine, just say that, but you don't have to put your hand on your gun. I mean, imagine how that makes us feel. We're already tired, hot, and sweaty. It wasn't necessary. So those are the three things that happened. But to crowd all of that out, to erase all of that away, we met the most kind, loving people. There was the woman in the video. She came out. They invited us. We were walking by, and they invited us to have dinner. And at first, we were weren't sure we wanted to do that, but we did. It was wonderful. Their hearts were full, and we sang songs. The next day, they came and made us desserts, apple pie. The truck guy, again, when he was approaching us, I said, "Oh my God, what is this guy going to do to us?" But he got out of his truck and he had this big smile on his face and he gave us money for ice cream, which was so refreshing. Other people stopped and gave us water. One woman got out of her car. She was crying. She gave us $200. She says, you guys need to make sure you get a good couple of meals for the next couple of days. So it really, that walk renewed my faith in people. Because during 2020, during the whole past administration, I just felt like, God, I need to just stay away from white people. I got to be honest with you. I felt like, if I encounter anyone, it's going to be danger, danger. But it helped renew my faith in people. So it was so good. It was so good for me. And for the rest of us, we felt very good about seeing that there are kind people in spite of the ugly stuff that we were seeing on television. So I really appreciated that. And then when we got to Kennett Square, there were about 250 people there waiting to greet us, and they wanted to hug us. They brought their kids and their pets, and we were celebrities, and that too renewed my faith in people. Yeah, so.
Wow, that's great. I mean, again, we can be living in our own worlds through media, social media, and in that kind of world, negative messages can have an outsized influence on us. And by getting out and walking, you experience something very different.
Something very, very different, right?
And one other thing that I just think is significant is during the pandemic, being outside like that actually was something safe that people could do. I mean, relatively safe.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they weren't telling us that, what they didn't do during this pandemic is talk about the implications of being inside, depression, lack of activity and exercise. And that's what we all needed. If more of us had gotten outside, we would be feeling much better. I think so.
I totally agree with you.
I wish the media had said, well, these are the kinds of things that you can do to feel better, because we were all feeling so bad. And walking, you just need a good pair of shoes and you just put one foot in front of the other. It's not a race, and it's so therapeutic.
Yep. Yeah. So let me ask you a question, some more follow-up about this walk. So you've got another one planned this year for when?
Yes. Well, we did the other wonderful thing we did. The March 7th of this year was the 57th anniversary of Bloody Sunday in Selma. So I flew down to Montgomery, met some amazing people, and we toured that route between Selma and Montgomery, Route 82, 54 miles, which now is a short walk. That's just a baby walk.
Nothing.
And we walked from Selma to Montgomery. Now I put out another post. I set up a Facebook page, Selma to Montgomery, and I got 10 entirely different people. And so we did the walk. I met this minister who allowed us to stay at his parish, for like $2 a day. It was amazing. People brought us food, just an amazing experience. So we did that, and we took 3 days to do that. And only because, and one thing I didn't mention, the group from that walked Harriet Tubman, we were from ages 30 to 65. The group in Montgomery was about 40 to 72. So we were, we're bringing in all ages.
Slightly older.
Yeah, slightly older, but they, we walked a little bit slower, but we made it through. So that was wonderful. The next walk, I had a group of skiers contacted me from Chicago, and they said, you gotta lead this Tubman walk for us. So October 1st through 6th, I'm gonna do it again with an entirely different group. So, and they're so funny. They've been calling me and texting me saying, we're walking, we're training, we're gonna be ready. So I'm very excited. And we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna do some kayaking down the Choptank River. I want them to, you know, Harriet Tubman, after subsequent trips, did not just walk. She used buggy, horses and wagons, and she did use the waterway. So we'll do that. And then we're going to ride horses for about 10 miles. So that's going to be a whole nother experience. I have ridden horses before, but now I'm going to a friend of mine who has a horse farm, and I'm reacquainting myself with riding a horse. So this is a whole nother new skill set that I didn't anticipate that I would need at this point in my life.
Now, are you anticipating in the future this being like an annual walk? Or are you thinking this might be something like a route that could be set up and people could walk it year round?
Oh, absolutely. So I have since, as indicated, I purchased a property in Cambridge, right along the Underground Railroad. And my plan is to, well, first of all, the other thing, we did a walk Christmas Eve. In 1854, Harriet Tubman went back to get her brothers, Ben, Ross, and I can't think of the third brother, but that was the Great Escape. So I did get the people, I got 22 people in Cambridge to walk 12 miles with me in the pouring rain. I don't know if you remember Christmas Eve, but here it was cold and raining like crazy, and they walked with me in the pouring rain. So that will be an annual event. But yes, the walks I will do annually, and I'm mapping out routes now that I'm there of shorter walks, 5 and 10 mile walks, that I want to lead. I want people to come to Camp Harriet. We're going to do drum circles. We're going to walk. We're going to talk about nature. We're going to meditate. And so that I want that to be a whole program starting in 2022.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate the work it takes developing those routes and
Yes.
organizing the people coming together. And someone in Montgomery, will that become also something that'll be repeated every year, or do you think people will walk that?
You know, we met city officials, and they want us to. That's kind of a big. It took a lot to organize that, simply because of the distance and just getting people together. I ended up being the coordinator, and that's not what I wanted to be. So probably not. But we are planning a Deep South walk next year. I want to do the Emmett Till, Medgar Evers kind of thing. So we will plan that. And, you know, if people call me now that, you know, again, I'm sort of this free spirit. I get to do whatever I want. If someone calls and wants to walk a route and I can do it, I will certainly do the research and organize it. I so love this. So I'm going to walk till I can't walk anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Well, this has been super, and I want to now look at some of the questions that people have asked Linda, and also invite questions. We could go on like this, but I want to try to get some of our learners in there asking questions.
Okay.
Let's see. Boy, there's a lot here. So Chris is asking more about the Tubman Museum, and I think she means the one in Cambridge. Aren't there two? There's an Underground Railroad Museum and a Harriet Tubman Museum.
So there's the Harriet Tubman Museum and Educational Center that opened in 1991 through a grassroots effort of local historians, local African-American historians. And that is there. It's a small museum in downtown Cambridge. And there, as I tell people, the difference is that we impart real knowledge. When you come in there, we're going to talk to you about Harriet Tubman. The Park Service in 2018 gave Cambridge $23 million to build this incredible museum full of amazing artifacts, and it's run by the Park Service, and the rangers, the park rangers, are there to guide you through the museum. So 2 wonderful places, 2 completely different experiences, and 2 must-stop points or visits that you must make when you come to Cambridge. And we work very closely with the visitor center. I am a docent Well, actually, I get a little stipend now. They're so excited to have me, so I get a tiny little stipend, and I'm so excited about that museum. And I'd like to tell people it's a self-guided exhibit, but I want to talk. I really want to talk about Harriet Tubman, so I do. As you can see, I like to talk, so I do that a lot in the museum. Yeah.
That's great. So just looking at a question here from Mary Jo asks, is the route documented? I think they mean the Harriet Tubman walk that you took. Is there like a map of that?
It is. There is a whole book, and it's online. I thought I had one with me, but there is a driving route of the Underground Railroad, and that is pretty much the route that we took when we walked along the Underground Railroad, at least from Dorchester County to Caroline County into Delaware. Beyond Delaware, it gets a little sketchy, and no one, and many of the historians, and most of the historians that I've spoken with, are not really clear what she did between Delaware to Kennett Square. So it's sort of a guesstimation. But between Dorchester and Caroline, it is well marked. And anyone who comes down there, I am happy, more than happy to show you the route, drive you the route. I've also biked a part of the route. So yes, it's quite doable.
Okay. By the way, lots of great comments here. People that say that what you've done has inspired them. We'll make sure you get these comments.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. Oh, someone wants to know, do you take donations?
Oh, we love donations, yes. And as a matter of fact, we raised $6,500 for the museum when we walked. So yes, the museum on Ray Street it's a volunteer organization, and we rely on donations to sell of t-shirts. And I'm now starting to write grants. I've convinced them that let's get some of this grant money. So please, yes, we would love that very much.
So is there a place at that website of the museum where they can take donations?
Unfortunately, we're working up to that. They're kind of antiquated, so we don't have a website yet. So unfortunately, the way to get donations would be to mail a check. I know that's sort of an old-fashioned way, but I am getting the website set up. That's one of the reasons I'm writing a grant to get money to set up the website.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Next question. Someone says you should write a book about this. Are you thinking about writing a book about this?
Yeah, actually I am. I wrote a song about it, so I will take that song and I will write a book. I did, it's funny, I did not realize when we set up the We Walk with Harriet page on Facebook, we started with about 7 followers, and it ballooned into almost 10,000. And I didn't know that what I was doing or what we were doing was going to be such an inspiration. So yeah, I am thinking that. Yeah.
Okay, let's do this now. I'll just open up for questions. If people want to, maybe a good way to do that is if you want to ask a question, raise a virtual hand, and that'll pop you up in the queue, and then we can have you unmute and ask Linda a question. So I'm sure there's questions. Maybe while we're waiting for more questions, let me ask one more. Linda, what's your planned next walk?
The next walk is the October 1st through 6th. We're gonna walk from Kennett's. We're gonna walk backward. We're gonna walk from Kennett Square, where she crossed the line, to Camp Harriet. I hope I'm gonna have sort of a ribbon cutting of Camp Harriet. So that will be about 118 miles that we'll walk.
Okay, Janet, you've got a question. Oh, you're still muted, Janet.
Okay, thank you. I got the prompt from your end to unmute. I tried myself and that didn't work. But Miss Harris, that's an absolutely wonderful story. And Harriet Tubman is my shero. I have visited the museum that's on Ray Street as well as the visitor center, and it was such an enjoyable day. Now for the walk that you have scheduled for October, where will the kayaking part of the walk?
We're gonna start at the Black Water. There's a Black Water. Susan Meredith has a boating service there, and we're gonna start there. It's gonna be a short experience just along the Black Water. through parts of the Choptank River. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
I think Marlene's got a question.
Hi, yes, I'm so very
Hi,
proud
Marlene.
of you.
Oh, thank you.
Very proud of what you've done. Someone has to keep telling the story.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
my question is, are you available for speaking engagements, and how would I contact you?
Oh, as you can see, I love to talk, Marlene. So yes, I'll give you my email address, and I've done many of these kinds of things, and I love it. At first I was a little nervous, but now I got the hang of this. So yes, I'll give you my email address, and I'd be happy to do that. Thank you. Thank you.
More questions. You can just, oh, there we go. Leslie, go ahead. We still got you muted, Leslie. There you go.
Okay.
First of all, Linda,
Hey, Leslie.
you're a girl after my own heart. Harriet is my girl.
Oh yeah.
I've even developed a one woman show about her life.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
but I've been to both of those museums, and I've also been to the church that she attended in St. Catharines, Ontario, and the minister presented me with the hymnal from that church.
I'm jealous.
And so when I saw you on, that you were going to be on here, I just could not wait. And I recently, my sisters and I, we did a trip about 4 years ago on the Appalachian Trail. And so I'm going to have to give consideration to tell her about maybe joining you and your group.
Yes, you've got to come if you've done it. I'm jealous. You've done 2 things I want to do.
Yes. So, but this is just light my heart, and the purpose behind it has just been wonderful. And I just wish you well as you continue to tell her story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More questions. Well, Linda, I've got one more.
Okay.
Walking long distances is something that seems intimidating to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you obviously can testify that it can be done.
Yes.
What advice can you give to someone who might want to start doing some long distance walking?
Sure. Well, I was not a long distance walker. I was a Zumba girl, all right? But I realized that doing Zumba helped me build endurance. And walking, it's not a race, first of all. One of the great things about walking is taking in the environment. So you want to walk slow. So you start walking, if you're not a walker, what my dad used to say is, don't park next to the door at the grocery store. Park it at the end of the parking lot and walk to the door. Start slow. Just set goals for yourself. Okay, today I'm gonna walk around my neighborhood, and the next day, I've read articles that say you should increase your walking by 10% each time you walk. So walk around the block. But most importantly, I think for me, what became so enjoyable was walking in my local parks. There's so many wherever you are, there's so many parks. And I found that I liked walking to parks that had some history, or at least noted history. So I liked walking and reading the plaques. I also love walking in cemeteries. Oh my God, the stories. I envisioned I would go up to a tombstone that read 1808, and I'd say, my God, what was going on in 1808? So by the time I walked through the cemetery, I'd probably put in 2 or 3 miles. So walk to points of interest. Good pair of shoes. A walking buddy is great. I don't encourage listening to music. I think a lot of people do. But you got to commune with nature, the birds and the bees and the breeze, the trees, the fox. We have a lot of deer here. All of that gave me just enormous pleasure, and I could hardly wait from day to day to get out and walk some more. So if I could just put it in a 1, 2, 3, start slow. First of all, get a good pair of shoes. Slow walks, shorter distances, and increase over time. And you will find, and have a buddy. And as I say, with my friends, we walked out our problems. Boy, we had something to say about someone every time we walked. And by the time we got through all of that, we were 2 or 3 miles out. So just do those things, and walking is easy as long as you don't have any. And even if you have joint problems, I always stretch before and after. That's important. Staying hydrated is crucially important, and just make it fun. Make it a fun activity.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's the question on a different topic. Chris is asking, what do you or others think of the movie Harriet Tubman? Was it accurate?
So a couple things. It was a great production. Very, very. The story was pretty on point. Couple things. The majority of the movie was not filmed in Dorchester County. It was filmed in Richmond. The scene where she crosses the water, I actually crossed that body of water myself. That it was in Caroline County. The woman at the boarding house in Philadelphia was a fictional character. They did meet William Still. He did document their stories, but they did not live in those kinds of lavish conditions. The son, Edward Broadus, there was a son, Edward Broadus. He was much older, but he did, this young Broadus did not have a relationship with Harriet Tubman. So he was a fictional character. Other than that, it was pretty on point. I think the story was well done. My pet peeve about it is they didn't use most of the. Harriet was a woman from England. I would have liked the main role to be taken on by someone here. But otherwise, it was pretty on point. Pretty on point. Yeah.
Very good. Any more questions for Linda while we have her here? Got a moment for maybe one, maybe two more questions. You can raise a hand, either virtual hand or just raise your hand. And there we go, Abby. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Abby.
I'm also curious if you have read, and if so, if you have a response to the fiction book called Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh, Ta-Nehisi Coates. Well, let me just tell you, I have read it. I also, his stepmother is in my book club. So we have the great honor of having Ta-Nehisi Coates read some excerpts from his book and a couple of other books. So yes, I do know it well. Yeah. And the depiction of, are you?
I'm just curious. I mean, I know it's fiction, but
it's fiction, but it's, I mean, his
almost mystical.
It is mystical. Well, Harriet Tubman, her story is magic. Her journey was magic. And I think he did a grand job of his depiction of that journey, and his book was extraordinary.
I'm glad.
Yeah. So yeah, great book, great writer.
Thank you.
Thank you for reading that. I'm glad. That's wonderful. Yeah.
My book group is reading it and love it.
It's a wonderful book. Yeah. It's great.
Water Dance by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yes. Water Dancer.
Dancer.
Yes. Water Dancer.
Water Dancer. Okay.
Dancer. Yes.
Maybe one of our support techs can put that in the chat. So,
well, one of the things I'll mention that I want to do at the museum, I want to just set myself up with a camera reading different books, and I'm going to post it on the museum website. I'm trying to do all the things I can to get people interested in coming to the museum. So I think maybe Water Dancer is one of the ones I'll read. I'm going to start with Kate Larson's book, Bound for Glory, which is, she does a grand job of chronicling Harriet Tubman's journey. So great.
Someone's asking if you can put your email address in. That's up to you whether or not you want to, but we do have some ways to reach out to you, which actually.
Sure. Oh no, I don't mind.
Okay, because our time is winding down, and I think we want to toss up one more slide here about some websites to find out more about Linda.
Will there be notes available after this session?
We can make notes available.
Of all the things in the chat, yeah.
Yes, we can try to put all that, make that available.
Thank you.
I was going to say, this has been great with Linda. We could go on. I'm kind of finding it hard to stop. This is fascinating to me on about every possible level.
Yeah.
And it's been super having you here. I think we are the folks that are either live streaming or participating directly are really enjoying it and appreciating it. Just for those of you that are new to the Get Set Up community, this is a community that helps you learn all sorts of useful skills from people like you, and we learn from each other in these classes. There's over 500 classes you can choose from, and people can also ask to host an interest group. If we can put up the slide with Linda's contact, her couple web pages that she mentioned.
It's actually getting put in the chat right now, and we'll go out in the post-event email for
Very
everyone.
good. Okay, so yeah, because we've got lindadharris.com, and I know that you can also reach out to Linda through that.
Yes.
You can watch Linda, see some video of Linda, great video of Linda singing. Go to lindadharris.com. I've been there, and there's also walkwithharriet.com. She's also on Facebook, as is her walks. The Selma to Montgomery 2021 is a Facebook group, as well as you also had a week walk with Harriet.
We walk with Harriet. Yes.
Right. We walk with Harriet on Facebook.
Yes.
And they're all great ways to reach out and find out the latest going on. So we'll get out in a post-class email with notes, the various links, and our support team will be great to gather all that stuff together. Also, I hope some of the nice comments for Linda can go out, because Linda, there was lots of great comments, appreciation to you in the chat, and I didn't get a chance to read them all, but they were all people really appreciate having you with us, and I of course do, and Get Set Up appreciates having you. And if anyone does want a recording of this event, you can contact help@getsetup.io. And it's been great having Linda here. Very inspiring. Your life and what you've done is an inspiration to all of us. And this is a great community to be a part of. And you're just the type of inspiration this community needs. And thank you again for taking the time to be with us.
Sure.
And keep in touch. And those of you that saw Linda today, keep in touch with Linda. And I'm sure she would love to hear from you.
Oh, I would.
And
if I could say could I say one last thing?
Please do, Linda.
I have to end with, I find the Harriet in you has become my tagline. If you can take one aspect of her life and the things that she did and embrace it, it will change yours forever. So I like to share that because it changed me. And I so appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much, Russ and company. Thank you so much.
Well, that's great. Find the Harriet in you. I really like that. Very good. Well, we're going to say so long to everybody. Thank you for being here. And everyone have a great afternoon. Thanks again to Linda.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
So long.
All right. Bye-bye.